Hello and welcome to the We Need Water podcast. My name is Michael Brandt and I'm the Water Resources Manager for Cascade Water Alliance in King County, Washington. Cascade is a municipal water supplier providing drinking water to more than 380,000 residents. I'm glad you're here. I want you to care about water and make it your personal mission to become a steward of this incredible resource. Today we're going to discuss the most important federal program you may not have heard of. It's called WaterSense, and it's administered by the U.S. EPA. We're very fortunate to have the director of the program with us today, Veronica Blette. Veronica manages the WaterSense program in the U.S. EPA's Office of Water. She loves working on water efficiency with WaterSense. She was the 2016 recipient of the Alliance for Water Efficiency Water Star Award and is the current chair of the Water Conservation Division for the American Waterworks Association. At EPA, she has also served as Special Assistant to the Director of the National Drinking Water Program and led the agency's Drinking Water Infrastructure Financing Program. Before joining EPA in 1997, she worked in the academic research and environmental consulting fields on projects investigating the effects of acid rain on soils and water quality. She has a BA in geology from Smith College and an MS in geology from the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. Welcome, Veronica.
Thanks, Mike. It's great to join you.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Let's jump right into it. What is WaterSense?
So WaterSense is, like you said, it's an EPA program, and we're a program that was established back in 2006 to help Americans find simple ways to save water. Through better practices, better products, better services in their homes, outdoors, and in business.
So you said 2006 was
2006.
the beginning. What precipitated that? Why did WaterSense begin?
So, well, first of all, I guess I have to say to your audience, like all of you have heard of Energy Star, probably the blue label that you're looking for on products that use less energy. And so back in the 2003 period, there was some new in the news. The Government Accountability Office did a report that looked at water shortages in states, and they asked states like, do you expect to see water shortages? And states said, heck, yes, we expect to see shortages in our states in the next 10 years. About 35 states said, yeah, we expect to see that. So that was one of the issues that was out there. Another issue was aging infrastructure. We have this aging infrastructure problem in the US, and we have to replace all those assets. So there was that big investment that was coming on board. And there was no program that was similar to Energy Star that was for water. So back in the 2003 timeframe, we got a letter here at EPA from a broad range of stakeholders. About 100 people signed, 100 organizations signed this letter, and they sent a letter to EPA and said, hey, EPA, we really think there is a need to have a program that's like Energy Star that can really focus attention on the need for water efficiency and water efficient products in the US. And we think you guys should get on this. So, sometimes you write government, you think government never responds. Well, government in this case, we responded. So we did a lot of work, looked into it, and 3 years later in 2006, we did launch the WaterSense program here at EPA. So similar to Energy Star, we're a product labeling program, but we do a lot of other things as well.
Okay. Well, let's talk about those activities. Can you give us some examples of what the WaterSense program actually does?
Well, like I said, products is sort of our job one, so much like Energy Star. So we develop specifications. We identify products that we believe can be more efficient, and we develop specifications that include criteria for efficiency and for performance to make sure that they can work well. And that was really important for us because back in the mid-90s, Congress passed laws that implemented plumbing standards for products. And manufacturers had to churn very quickly and develop new toilets that would use about 1.6 gallons per every flush. And the previous versions of toilets used anywhere from 3 to 7 gallons. So it was a big change that manufacturers had to make. And when they made those changes quickly, they didn't necessarily work that well. And so a lot of concern about that. That was one of the reasons that people thought we need to have like standards or specifications for things that we know will be efficient and also work. So that's what we do. We do the research and we develop the specifications for the products. and product specifications that we label. So that's sort of the main part of our program is the product labeling, and um, that's what we do.
But you said
But
something very important there,
yeah,
that it's a twofold process. You have the efficiency standards. It
yeah,
has to be of a certain efficiency to get the label, but also there's a performance criteria to deal with the issue you were talking about with the 1990s first generation of low flow toilets and shower heads.
right, right. We are aiming to be at least 20% more efficient than those federal plumbing standards or typical products in the marketplace. Not all the products we label have federal standards. So at least 20% more efficient. We've gotten better than that in some of our products. But that second thing, performance, is really critical. So in all of our specifications, you'll see criteria for performance. And if you were to visit our website, you'd see for every one of those product pages, there's a description of the criteria we looked at. So for our toilets, we're looking to make sure that they can flush a sufficient amount of waste and make sure that it will flush away. That's what we expect a toilet to do.
Mhm.
So we want to make sure it does that. For shower heads, we did some research and we said, okay, here's a bunch of shower heads. We gave it to a bunch of people and we said, take showers with these and tell us what you don't like about them. What bugs you about them? And we got all that information, and then we were able to develop criteria and a test method that would test to make sure that we eliminated those features that people really didn't like to see. And so that we would have a shower head specification. We developed a new test. We had a new apparatus that have to be used, and that would be able to weed out those poor performing shower heads. So we were able to lower the flow rate from 2.5 to 2 gallons per minute, but you can still have a really satisfying shower head or shower that's going to be give you like the force and coverage that you would like to see.
And I assume you also do continual monitoring and tracking of public acceptance, evaluation of those
Yeah,
kinds
we
of
do. And I
products.
guess one of the things to, make the point is we're a small program. So, I have 7 people working for me. So we're not the people who are going out and testing all of these toilets models, because we have more than 42,000 models of products that are in the label. So we're not testing all of those. So we're a public-private partnership program. And so we have partners and we have licensed certifying bodies who actually do that testing. So we use the existing sort of market infrastructure for how other products are tested for different types of standards. And we use that. So these certifying bodies that sign licenses with us, the manufacturer will send their product to that certifying body, and they're the ones who will run the test on the product, make the assessment as to whether it meets those efficiency and criteria performance, and then issue the label. They'll report it back to us. We show it on our website, so you can go and find any products that are modeled. And then we do like periodic check-ins. So the products have to go through a retesting regime. Also, we follow up if we get complaints, and we have very few complaints. In fact, Mike, I think we talked to you in the past about complaints you might have heard from a toilet program that you've run in Cascade, and I think you told us like there were really no complaints. I mean, we just do not get complaints. But if we do get some, we would follow up on those and make sure that that was taken care of.
Well, like you said, though, I think it's a very important point that it's not the manufacturer that is doing the testing on their own products. So it's not a toilet manufacturer saying, "Oh yeah, our toilets work great." They have to send it to an
Correct.
accredited, certified entity to do
Correct.
that sort of test. So
Correct.
so so
They're
there's a
not.
lot of
Yeah,
veracity.
they're not allowed to just declare and say, "Hey, we're like super
Yep.
efficient." We're like, no, no, no. We're going to have a third party assess that and make sure that the product does meet the criteria.
Yes. When we ran our toilet rebate program for about 5 years, we did a lot of evaluation, follow-up, people who took advantage of the rebate, and the evaluations were just glowing. I mean, there were just a tiny percentage of consumers who were not happy with the
Yeah,
product.
yeah, and we did some consumer research a couple of years ago, and we found that when people buy a product that has the WaterSense label, they look for other products that are WaterSense labeled. So They are satisfied with that toilet that they buy, and they are then going to look for the shower head that has that same label on it, or the irrigation controller that has that same label on it, because they know that that is an indication that it will meet their expectations for efficiency and performance.
How does WaterSense, or does WaterSense interface with local and state conservation programs? Are they are just in a more supportive role, or is it a more direct relationship? How does that work?
So I work for the EPA, which of course, a lot of people know has a lot of regulations. We're not a regulatory program, however. So we're very much in the mode of cooperation and collaboration with all the different organizations that we work with. And like I said a few minutes ago, we're a public-private partnership program. So we partner with a broad variety of partners. We partner with manufacturers, retailers, builders, nonprofit organizations, state and local governments, and water utilities. So the state and local governments and the water utilities, for me, they're a very, very important stakeholder for us, because they are the people who are working in the front lines with their consumers, and they're the ones that have to be able to meet the demand for water, for a community, and meet that demand during a drought, or meet that demand when water demand is high in the summer, when people are doing a lot of irrigation. So we try and work closely with them and provide them a lot of tools and guidance. In our partnership model, we also provide additional resources for those partners, because we know a lot of utilities, local governments, they might have like one person who works on conservation, and maybe they do that in addition to doing other jobs at their utility or in their local government. And they don't have the resources to be able to, make graphics or brochures or um, just anything. So what we try and do is we develop those resources for them, and they can take those resources and then just use them, put their logo on it and use it, and hopefully we make their jobs easier. So it helps us close the loop on, like, from the manufacturers to the consumers, and provide them consistent information. So I see it as a great collaboration between the utilities of state and local governments and WaterSense.
Very nice. What has WaterSense accomplished since it began? How do you quantify that?
Yeah, so I mentioned the products part, but we also have other elements of our program as well. And I guess I'll just mention that before I talk about our overall accomplishments, is that we have this homes program. And I want to mention that specifically because it is a relatively, we made some big changes to that program in the last few years to make it more flexible, to make it easier to implement. And I think that in areas of the country where we've got a lot of growth happening, especially in parts of the country where we've got water scarcity concerns or water shortage concerns, where they still want the community to be able to grow, because that's, local mayor, they don't want to like shut down and just close off growth and put in building moratoriums. But with this homes program that we have for labeled homes that will use at least 30% less water than typical homes of the same size, we think that can be a great tool in the toolbox for state and local people to use. And we see down in Arizona, we've seen some of the local governments down there start to say, like, okay, well, if you're going to build in our area, Mr. Builder, then we'd like you to build to the WaterSense label, because that way we know we'll be able to provide the water resources that you're going to expect us to serve you with. So as a condition of building in our community, we want to make sure you're building for water efficiency. The other program element we have is this irrigation professionals program. And I mentioned, that meeting demand is hard sometimes for utilities and local governments, especially during the summer. Outdoor water use is really high. So it's really important to have people design landscapes that are water efficient. And then if they're going to irrigate, we want them to make sure they have like smart irrigation products, which we label, but also make sure that they have a trained professional who they know is thinking about water efficiency when they get into their landscape, and they know the proper types of irrigation to put in. They know how to look for leaks, how to maintain those, how to audit them, how to help you program your irrigation controller, because maybe you got it and you're like, I really don't know what to do with this thing on the wall, but they can help you program that controller. So, the products program we have, the homes program, the professionals program, our partners, they all really work together and help us to get the accomplishments that we have. And so I'll get to the savings now that we've seen, because we just reported last month our savings through 2022. And so we ask the manufacturers to report back to us on their shipped products. And we take that information and we use we have a model that will estimate the amount of water, energy, utility bill savings, carbon savings that are achieved through the use of those shipped products in the US. And so as of the end of last year, we are up to 7.5 trillion gallons of water saved, which is, I'll look at my handy dandy accomplishments report here, is the same amount as the water used in 9.5 months by all US households. So that's a lot of water that we're saving.
7.5 trillion.
7.5 trillion.
That's a big number.
I mean, back in the day, 10 years ago, we were so happy. We broke 100 million. We were like, oh my God, it's so exciting. But now we're like 7.5 trillion. It's crazy how much it increases over time. The energy savings associated with that, 880 billion kilowatt hours, which would be enough to supply a year's worth of power to 83 million homes. And so the energy that we're saving comes from the energy that utilities are saving from, having to treat less water, not having to treat as much water, not having to pump and move as much water. And then the households, they're not having to heat as much water because the shower, maybe their faucets are using less water. And water heating is usually the third highest energy use in a house. So if you can decrease your water use, you're going to decrease that water heater use, and that's going to decrease your energy use and your energy bill. So, those energy savings are like we planted 5.5 billion trees. I don't know, the carbon savings from it. And best of all, for the consumer, we've helped save more than 171 billion in water and energy bills. So that's a lot of money. I mean, I'm a small program.
It's just a lot of wins all the way across the board, no matter how you look at it.
If you do a cost return on investment program, I'm a really good return on investment. This is a federal program. It's a really good return on investment for the American public. So, so I think those are like the big achievements that we try and think about. Like I mentioned, the 42,000 products we've labeled. We've got 8 categories of products that we've labeled to date that are bathroom products and irrigation products. We have one that graduated. We graduated that product, which was a commercial pre-rinse spray valves, which if you ever had to work in a commercial kitchen like I did in college.
Me too.
You were very accompanied with the
washing down the dishes
to wash down the dishes before you put it into the dishwasher. And we developed a specification for more efficient pre-rinse spray valves. And after a number of years, the Department of Energy looked to make changes to their federal standards, and they looked at our stuff and they said, hey, that looks pretty good. We'll take that. And they took it away from us.
Wonderful.
Which is good. It's a good news, bad news story, because now we can't label them anymore because we were worried about going lower and still maintaining that performance that we would want to see. But we were able to graduate that, and so it became the federal standard, and now we don't have that as a product anymore, which is sad. It makes us sad. But we have 2 other products that we're looking at in sprinkler and irrigation, sprinkler nozzle, and then in reverse osmosis home water treatment systems, because those can waste a lot of water. And so we're trying to see if we can identify models that will use less water for those people who want to have those in their homes. So that's a lot of accomplishments. And 7,000, we've labeled more than 7,000 homes to date, and we think
7,000 new homes have received the WaterSense
label. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but we've, since we changed our program, that has been going up a lot. So we have a goal of in the next few years, we want to see at least 10,000 a year being labeled across the country, because we know Energy Star homes, likewise, you can just add water to those energy savings, have a WaterSense labeled home and an Energy Star labeled home.
Well, presumably all of those homes are going to be around for a long time. So those savings are just going to continue into very far into the future.
Yes. Yeah. You're actually saving water for the future when you do that. So it makes sense.
The point you made earlier too about the connection between water savings, energy savings, reduction of carbon footprint. If there was one thing I would like my customers to really understand and internalize, is that relationship between those 3. If you're saving water, you're reducing your carbon footprint in one form or another, either, your home or further upstream into the utility.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And I follow this organization called Project Drawdown, and it talks about like
Mm-hmm.
how are we going to like reduce emissions and low flow, devices. I don't like the word low flow water.
Right.
I
I
like
don't
high
like the sound of
efficiency.
that.
I like water efficient, high efficiency. I don't like low flow, but
Sure.
they say low flow. But they view those as being one of the key, actions that can be taken is getting those products changed out to more efficient models because then, you know, why not? Why not do it?
Mm-hmm.
Save the water, save the energy, save the climate, save some money on your water and energy bill. I mean, it just makes water sense, Mike. It's a bad pun, but
No, it's a very good pun. I'll allow that.
okay.
That's an excellent pun. Speaking of climate change, though, with everything that's happening, and I think we're all pretty aware of that now. How is that affecting the overall direction of your program? Very much.
No, not too much. I mean, unfortunately, we weren't able to tap into any of the monies that came from the recent legislative efforts to address climate change, which, that's fine. Um, but I think I view us as a program that's very beneficial on both an adaptation front because
Yeah.
we're going to help communities adapt to challenges they might have with water scarcity, water shortages, maybe due to drought. We can help them adapt to those conditions. And then on that energy water side, we can also help on the mitigation front. So by reducing the energy that's needed for some of the things, the water uses that we're seeing, we're going to help on the mitigation front. So, I mean, I've talked to some groups of people and I'm like, I can be any program you want. I can be a climate mitigation program, a climate
Mm-hmm.
adaptation program, a sustainability program. We just bring a lot to the table, I think,
Sure.
as a program to help everybody really find simple ways to save water. I guess I failed to mention like a big part of our program is just on that guidance piece, like, providing tips for consumers on how behavioral changes that they can make to use less water. I mean, it's like, simple things like take a shorter shower or, turn the water off when you're shaving or brushing your teeth or, uh, you know, reuse water for pouring, that your water warms up in your shower and use it to like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, feed your cat or water a plant or something.
Sure.
We have tips like those. We also have guidance and advice that we give for commercial and institutional facilities on best management practices because commercial buildings, restaurants, offices, uh, hotels, they all use a lot of water, and they're all things that they can do to improve their water use, which improves their bottom line as well. And so we have best management practices for those commercial and institutional building facility managers who they can come and use those to try and improve their water use as well. And we do a lot, we do trainings and a lot of webinars on that. So that educational piece and the behavioral piece is something that we also have a focus on in the program.
Right. Well, what lies ahead for WaterSense? Are there some areas that are, here's a pun for you, that are untapped at
Untapped.
this point that you would like to work on? What's on the horizon for you?
What is our untapped potential? I think that, I think continuing, because we're a small program, it is challenging. It's a very noisy world out there, let's just say. So it's hard to get people's attention. And so, we do want to keep working with our partners to raise attention and make people more aware of the program and get them to make that really fundamental change, which is going to be changing out older fixtures that are inefficient for newer fixtures that are efficient. And so I think we will still be, it's not like a new thing on the horizon, but it's an untapped potential that is still there that we really think needs to be addressed. I think the second thing, we'll have other products that we're labeling as well to bring that into the fold. The other thing I think is just that outdoor water use is a super challenge. We're making a lot of inroads on efficiency on products, and I don't want to say that people have gotten as far as they can go, because definitely they haven't been able to get as far, they have further they can go. But outdoor water use is still a big challenge for people. And a lot of that, some of it is behavioral, and just people get used to wanting and thinking of a certain type of landscape as the landscape that they want to have. Or we have people who will move from, you know, upper Midwest or New England down to the southeast or southwest, and they think like, I want to have my big bluegrass lawn. And you're just like, no, 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 you should not have that big bluegrass lawn. That might have been fine when the population of our city was like 200,000, but the population of our city is now 2 million because you people keep coming, and we can no longer like do that. You live in a desert, or you live in an area, and you really should try and have a landscape that's appropriate for that climate area. So I think trying to shift like consumer attitudes about landscape and identify landscapes that are more appropriate to their local area, that will use less water, that maybe makes greater use of native plants or plants that have adapted to your landscape. Looking at turf grass, I don't want to demonize turf grass. I like a good lawn to lie on sometimes, but if the only time I think it's somebody who at Southern Nevada said, the only time you're on your lawn is when you're mowing it, maybe you don't need a lawn. Maybe you could downsize that lawn. And something I like to say is like, maybe you don't need wall-to-wall carpet, maybe use it as an accent rug. And think about other things you can incorporate into the landscape so that you can try and reduce that thirstiest aspect. Or if you're going to use turf grass, work and find like what is the most water efficient, drought tolerant turf grass for your area. I know up in Washington State and Oregon, there's a lot of turf grass researchers and turf grass farms up there, and I know there's some work going on through different organizations that are looking to try and identify cultivars of turf grass that can better thrive with reduced water use and reduced pesticides and all the other inputs that it have. So I think that's good. And if you have it, don't mow it so often. Let it grow long. Let it grow nice deep roots. Don't water it too often. A lot of times people think, if I keep watering, it's a little bit brown, I'm gonna keep watering. It's actually, you're killing it because it doesn't need that much water. You want to make it struggle a little bit. It will grow roots deeper, and it will be a healthier grass. So that,
as it does in the natural environment.
Exactly.
Grasses go dormant in the summertime.
Exactly. Get used to it. It's its beauty sleep. It's just sleeping, like Sleeping Beauty. It will come awake again when the prince kisses her with a little bit of rainfall.
With the fall rains.
Yeah, with the fall rains. So I think that is something we're looking at, and we're working on some efforts to improve. For homeowner associations, I think I don't live in a homeowner association, but there's a lot of them in the U.S. And I was surprised when I saw the statistics of how many homes are being built that are being built or are in homeowners associations. And so we want to try and do a little bit better and try and provide those folks better information that they can use too, so they can better understand how they might be able to have or foster more efficient landscapes in their area, because that will be to the benefit of them on bills as well.
Absolutely.
For common areas or for working with the residents in those homeowners associations. So we're looking to come up with some additional resources for those communities. And so, I think it's just we're looking for opportunities where we can find there's a willing audience or an audience that needs something. We want to try and figure out what we can do to help them, because we're a government program and we're here to help.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's cliche, but sometimes, we really are.
Sometimes cliches are true and accurate, though, and this is one of those times, I think. But a couple of points about what you just said. I totally agree with you on all of the behavioral aspects of outdoor watering and how we interface with our landscapes and all that. But to be clear, the WaterSense program does label a tremendous amount of irrigation hardware, the controllers and the pop-up heads. Is that correct?
Yes, we have specifications. We have for weather-based irrigation controllers that will change your schedule based on the local weather. If it knows it's going to rain, or if it rained, it won't turn the cycle on. We have soil moisture sensor-based irrigation controllers that use the soil moisture as the indicator to note whether a cycle could be turned on or off. We have pressure regulating sprinkler bodies. So a lot of utilities will provide water at a pressure that's higher than the irrigation
Mm-hmm.
system can really like manage. And you'll see like that's when you're usually seeing misting. You like walk down the street and you see misting, and it's
Yeah.
like the water's never reaching. It's blowing off into the wind, you know. So
I call those atmospheric irrigators.
yeah, those are great. I mean, I know they have misters when it's really hot outside. You
Yeah.
can at the baseball game or something. You can, but you really don't want your lawn to become a mister for the neighborhood. Like everybody can
Yeah.
just come and wander through your mister on your lawn. No, you're not paying for that. So we have pressure regulating bodies that will help, you know, downscale that pressure so that it's at an appropriate pressure for the head. And then, like I said, we're working on a specification for the nozzle part to
Mm.
identify more efficient nozzles. So yeah, we do have that range of products. And then, you know, if you went to our website, we have guides that will walk you through, like walk through your landscape and look for where you might be wasting water. You know, a lot of times people turn on their irrigation, they have their clock timer or they're scheduled to go off at 5 a.m. Are you up at 5 a.m., Mike, walking around your yard to see where the water's going from your sprinkler heads? I'm not. I
Typically
wouldn't
not.
be.
No.
So, you know, you might not know that you have a geyser going off in the
Right.
backyard every 2 days and it's going up like, you know, 10 feet. It's great, but nobody's like enjoying that. And certainly your yard isn't getting watered. So to do that periodic sprinkler checkup, sprinkler spruce up, to make sure that everything's working properly. They're not watering the driveway because you know, it doesn't grow. It's not
Mm.
growing. You're just creating runoff. That's creating another problem downstream. So you want to keep the water on the landscape, make sure all your heads are pointing in the right places and they're working properly.
Last year, we did an evaluation of an irrigation system at an apartment complex, and in kind of the back area where people didn't, you know, frequent as much. Uh, we found a number of heads that were rotated around, you know, 90 degrees or more the wrong way, and they were blasting the sides of the buildings, the
Yeah,
structures, and had clearly had been that way for a long time.
yeah,
And we're keeping all the siding perpetually soaked all summer long. There's no telling how much damage had
true,
been done from
true,
that.
true. That's true because you could be creating other damage, and you know, we have one of the things behavioral wise we have is a fix a leak week campaign that we run every third week of March. And you know, that's another one of those things where you just want to keep an eye out for leaks in the home all the time because you never know what damage could be happening that you might end up having to pay for if you don't take care of it. I mean, not in addition to your water bill going up and being higher than you expect, you might also be doing actual physical damage to the structure
Yeah,
or mold problems, you know, creating mold problems you don't
absolutely.
know about. So you always want to keep water will find a way, man.
Yeah, other than fire, water is can be just about the most damaging
Yeah,
thing to your
it's
home or
the
any
universal
any
solvent.
structure. Yeah,
Yeah, gotta love it.
absolutely.
Water.
One other quick point about what you just said there. You were talking about there's still probably a significant amount of older fixtures out there. So if you move into a new apartment or a new home or something like that, and you have no idea of the age of the fixtures, it's probably not a good assumption that those are necessarily new and efficient. Some, especially the way we used to make things, some fixtures can last a very long time. About 5 years ago, I think we were doing an indoor audit program for one of our member agencies. And I still remember this. In the old days, they used to stamp the date that a toilet was manufactured. It was common to stamp the date on the inside of the tank when it was created. And I found in a home a toilet still in operation that was made December 7th, 1942. Easy date to remember. It was the 1 year
Wow.
anniversary of Pearl Harbor, but it was still in operation. And the lady who lived there, I got the history of it. Her parents had bought the home new. So I was able to learn, how many people had lived in the home over time. Anyway, and just some simple back of the envelope calculations, I think well over 1 million gallons of water probably passed through that one
Wow.
toilet. And I measured the flow of it. It was almost 5 gallons per
Five
flush.
gallons.
So I felt almost bad about taking it out of service. It was a relic and kind of interesting. I
It
wish there
could be,
was
it could
a
be a nice
toilet
planter.
museum.
You could make it a
Yeah,
nice planter in the backyard. I don't know.
but those fixtures can remain for a very long time. So don't if you don't know, don't assume that
Yeah.
they're
And
necessarily
sometimes
efficient.
you can, like you said, open up, take the top off the tank in the back and look down in there and see what you see written. Maybe you'll see a
Yeah,
date, a magic date, like you saw, Mike, or maybe you see um, you might see the volume. So you might see a
right.
stamp 1.6 or 1.28. Hopefully you're seeing a 1.28 if you're moving into a new home or a new house. That would indicate it's
One,
probably a water sensitive toilet.
there you go. Wonderful. Well, if people can only remember one or two things from our discussion today of the WaterSense program, what would you like them to remember?
Well, I'd like them to remember our website so that they can go to our website. So that's where you just Google WaterSense, but www.epa.gov/WaterSense. I want them to remember. I don't even. I should have like a picture of the label here. I forgot to put a big picture of the label. They should try and remember what our label looks like. I don't know if you can see it
I,
on here.
I, I don't I don't have one handy myself.
I know
I should
this
have
is a
done that.
tragedy.
But you
Um,
know what? If our listeners will follow us on the
right here,
socials, they will. There we go.
like right
That's the
there.
label right there.
It's a little like
But
it looks like a little leaf. Oh, here we are.
we post a lot about WaterSense
Yeah.
on
Like I
Facebook and
said, just
Instagram.
Google.
So
And so I would say
yeah,
like look for the water sense label. I would say really just be more thoughtful about how you use water. Like just sometimes we don't even think about it. But really just appreciate it. It provides us such value as a country. We are so lucky and fortunate that of the work that people before us did to make sure that we had water supplies that are safe and secure and wastewater that is cleaning water. And yes, there are always going to be issues in some communities, but as a country, we are just very fortunate to be able to go to downstairs in our home or to the bathroom and turn on the tap and have fresh, clean water come out of that tap.
24/7.
24/7. The work that goes into it by the professionals. Yeah, it's a. I know people don't like paying bills, but it's a great value, and I really just encourage everybody to be thoughtful about how you use it and appreciate it and value it, and look for opportunities to use less of it because you will help your community. You'll help your own water utility bill, and you'll preserve water for the future. So I guess that would be like, I don't know, my takeaway.
Okay,
Does that sound like
those are good
a takeaway?
takeaways.
Okay.
And final question: what do you most enjoy about your job?
Uh, I just love, I mean, I love my job. I've been here in this job since 2009, a few years after the program started. And for me, it married like the things I really care about. I'm a geologist, so obviously I care about science. I've worked in water my whole professional career. But being able to actually work in a program that marries that science aspect with the communications aspect and really
Hmm.
trying to figure out how to like talk to the public and give them resources they can use is just really awesome. And the people that I get to work with and meet with across the country who are partners in the water utility space, again, just fabulous people. So I'm just blessed. I'm just lucky to have the job that I have, and I love working in water. So water is awesome, and everybody should think about working in water. Water is
All
life.
right then. Water is life, definitely. Um, that is just great. Excellent answer. And I think the WaterSense program is just fantastic. I utilize it as much as I can. So I hope people will uh, listen to what you say and will look for the label when they're shopping for new fixtures and appliances and so forth. So thank you, Veronica. Thanks for being with me today.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Take care. Bye, everybody.
And thank all of you for your time today. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you did, please like and subscribe and follow us on the socials. You can also find helpful information about Cascade's water conservation programs at cascadewater.org. Have a great day, and remember, we need water.